second installation of the Dance Discourse Project. In a moment, I'm going to introduce Mary Armentrout, who is sort of the founder of the Dance Discourse Project and instigated all of us to really work together to create an ongoing forum for conversation about dance in San Francisco. So we started out in the fall and we had a conversation about dance in the Bay Area, like what is it look like, who are we? And that has evolved into this conversation about multiculturalism and the post-multicultural landscape. And we're gonna announce another conversation very soon that we'll be having over the summer. For Counterpulse, this is also part of a much larger discussion around traditional performance, culturally specific performance, and the contemporary performance that we have so much of here. So this is just the beginning of a conversation, and it's part of an effort that we are having to actually integrate people who are using tradition in their performance into all of our programming at Counterpulse, not just these types of evenings. It's also leading up to a great big festival that we're going to have called Performing Diaspora, which is going to be here in 2009, and you'll be hearing more about that soon. I'm going to introduce Mary, but first I want to say that we're recording this to be able to podcast it, so this will be out there on the internet for posterity, which means that if you have something to say, please use a microphone, even if you find it intimidating or think that you don't need one. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mary Armentrout, who is representing the board of directors of Dancers Group and the brainchild behind this event.
I love being a brainchild. So welcome, everybody. My name is Mary Armentrout, and as she says, I am pretty much the originator of this project. It's a very new project. This is only the second Dance Discourse Project installment, and so far it's been just fabulous. I've been just astounded at how much people really do want to talk about this stuff. And so I'm having a wonderful time trying to figure out interesting little bites that we can try and chew off and actually not get bogged down in and feel like it's a rich discussion that can continue on into the future. My hope, my thought is that this will continue through the years. We'll do roughly 3 a year, and just use it kind of as a jumping off point to having this conversation be a part of what the Bay Area dance community is about, hopefully. So let's see, now I've completely not looked at my notes at all, so I have no idea what I just said. So I just also wanted to say that this is a slightly special Dance Discourse project. I'm doing this with my co-moderator, co-curator, Sherwood Chen of the Alliance for California Traditional Arts, which is totally great. It's been so wonderful and eye-opening to me to just have this different presence. This is not exactly my area of expertise, and so it's been just really wonderful to have Sherwood and Jessica from Counterpulse to bounce ideas off and really try and get into the meat of this issue. As Jessica kind of pointed out, this is basically a series that's co-presented by Counterpulse and Dancers Group, and I really love that it's this kind of melding together of different dance organizations to make this happen. So that this one is those two organizations plus ACTA just makes me feel like, yeah, the more kind of voices we can get into this conversation, the better I feel about it. So let's say I just wanted to also kind of start this conversation about multiculturalism from the very beginning and say this Dance Discourse Project #2, I wanted to really turn my attention to this very fascinating issue in Bay Area dance. I don't feel like I know a lot about it, but I feel like I'm learning tremendously, and it seems like it's a very potent issue right now in the dance community. All of this explosion of interest in culturally specific dance forms, fusion work of all sorts, and both kind of within the modern dance contemporary scene as well as within the culturally specific scene. So I feel like there's this huge amount of activity that is kind of just swirling around, and I really want to take this moment to kind of maybe start articulating a little bit more about what that is, because I'm really curious to know. And looking around, I know quite a few people here, and I know that a lot of you know quite a bit. So I'm very curious to get this conversation started. Sherwood and Jessica and I were kind of knocking around, how to focus this one, and came up with this idea of hanging it on the hook of post-multiculturalism, even though it's a slightly potentially controversial term. So I just wanted to say we did it anyways, just to get you all thinking, hopefully. And I'm going to take a stab, a very probably incomplete stab, at just giving us a working definition of multiculturalism and post-multiculturalism that are not meant to be something to hang us up, but just to give us something to start with. And please feel free to elaborate and not be stuck by it, and just allow it to help you have interesting thoughts. So without further ado, I guess it seems to me that maybe the multiculturalism moment was the moment when we all kind of realized that there were voices other than white, straight males who needed to be heard and needed to be valued as much as those voices. So women, gay people, people of color of all sorts, needed to be valued as much as these white, straight males, whoever they are. So if that is like a very simple definition of multiculturalism, then what is this post-multiculturalist moment? I think that there are many, many ways to define it, and I don't think that it's clear to me how we should or how it is. It could just be another generation of multiculturalism. It could be some kind of feeling that there's a insufficiency in that moment, an ironic stance towards that moment. So those are just possibilities of what this post-multiculturalist moment might be. And the major question is, as we look at this work, where are we in this continuum around these ideas, and is that very illuminating or interesting to you as far as how does it help you understand this work? So, I also just wanted to give you a little overview of the evening. So we are going to, I'm going to introduce Sherwood in a second, and then we're going to have our 4 artist panelists, each introduce themselves and show some work. We'll introduce them to you in 1 second. And they're going to either show video work, and some of them are also going to show live, so that'll be exciting. And then we'll probably have a little more discussion about their work and about some questions to draw things out for a minute after that. And then we're going to ask you to participate as well in whatever way that might be for you. And then we're going to open up some bottles of wine and have silly snacks and continue the conversation in a standing up form. So that's what we're going to do. And so here, let me introduce Sherwood Chen of the Alliance for California Traditional Arts, also a local choreographer in his own right. Sherwood.
Hi, everybody. It's really great to see all of you sitting here. It's so great to see the turnout. And so I just wanted to be able to pick up where Mary left off, but briefly just wanted to be able to talk about ACTA. The Alliance for California Traditional Arts is a statewide intermediary organization that supports folk and traditional artists. And so this year we're piloting a program called the Traditional Arts Roundtable Series, which is linked to this Dance Discourse project. It's going to be a series of roundtables that are aimed at trying to work with, to invite folk, traditional, and tradition-based artists, advocates, and organizations to, who are in the Bay Area to come together and talk about different issues like this. And so just wanted to alert you right now that there's, on the table out there right by Wayne, by the doorway, there's just some flyers over there. I would encourage you to pick them up, or if you have any questions, just to contact myself or my teammate at ACTA, who's Lily Karazi, who's sitting right across from me. So we have programs that primarily focus on cultural transmission, including an apprenticeship program, a Living Cultures grants program that focuses on organizations and community groups, and other services. So please talk to us. We would love to get to know you, and please do talk to each other as well, because that's one of the hopes and intents behind both the Dance Discourse Project and the Traditional Arts Roundtable series. Just to pick up on the questions around, or this issue around multiculturalism and post-multiculturalism, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what got us started in having this conversation.